Welcome on this glorious and amazing day, and thanks for joining me. As I was preparing to share some thoughts about challenges, I was overwhelmed for there's so much to talk about within the concept idea of challenges, and I decided I'll focus just on one aspect within challenges. I would divide challenges into two categories. One is serious challenges. And I'll give just a few examples. When someone is really ill in the hospital, family member or friend passes away, an earthquake, your city is being bombed. There's not really lots of interpretations. I mean, you can deal with even those challenging aspects in a very positive way. For all those that read Viktor Frankl's book, how he survived and how he kept his head above water even in Auschwitz. That's one category. The second category is something I deal with every day with people coming talking to me about their challenges, and I would say 80 to 90%, if not more, of the challenges is in the second category. And I know some of you are going to be upset. I'm going to say it because it's the truth, or at least I believe it's the truth. It's not so much about the challenges, about life circumstances that are happening. It's about your interpretation of those circumstances. Let me just start with a simple analogy, and then maybe we'll go to 2-3 examples. The simple analogy is, if I walk over to you today as you're holding a $10 bill in your hand, and I take it out of your hand and I rip it up, you, like most people, would actually get angry, frustrated, upset. In your interpretation, something negative happened. So my question to you is, why is it I did the same thing 20 minutes ago to someone else and he was dancing of joy? I walked over to him, I ripped up a $10 bill and he started dancing in joy. Because there was another piece of information that I didn't share with you yet. This other fellow, I walked over to him and I told him that today, whoever I approach and take out $10 bills, a $10 bill from their hand and rip it up, I'm going to give them $100 for it because I got this crazy idea today. I have a few extra $100 bills I want to get rid of. So I want to have a little sport. I'm going to go over to you. I rip up your $10. I got some crazy excitement from ripping up your $10, and I'm going to give you $100. If the second person that I ripped up his $10 bill as well would have had that information, which happens to be, it applied to him as well, which means he's getting from me $100. He would have not gotten upset in the first place, which means there's a bigger picture here. Ripping up at someone's $10 bill will not change your life, unless an exception to the rule is that you didn't eat for 4 days or 3 days and you're about to die and from heaven a $10 bill came down and that was the only money you had to buy your food. When you lose a seed because a seed rots, a tree grows. Most stuff that people talk to me about, of course it's painful if you're not a believer. If you look only on the now, you don't believe the next minute will arrive. Yeah, it looks negative, but again, it's your interpretation. So for example, someone is laid off from their job, they interpret it as a negative and horrific thing, and it's challenging, and how they're going to feed their family and how they're going to pay the mortgage or the rent. And that is absolutely terrible. They don't realize there's a huge picture here. The picture is that they never really fed their family properly. God actually wants them to have a better income. God won't come to you and tell you what to do or not to do. He leaves it up to you. But sometimes God just gets very frustrated. So he hopes the next job you're going to choose will be an extra $3, $4 an hour, so you'll have that money that you're short. Or maybe more than extra $3, $4 an hour. But if you look at the details within what people would call challenges, people get married, they don't have kids the first few weeks, the first few months, they go crazy. They called it a challenge. I called it a nice time to bond and get to know your spouse. And the list goes on and on and on. And to me, it's purely interpretations. And people come, but you don't know what my life is all about. You don't know what my childhood is all about. Well, I know it was very difficult. It was extremely challenging, and was probably, you might have wanted to commit suicide even. It was really horrible. It was really terrible. It was really overwhelming. It was very overwhelming. Sorry. But take, for example, this fellow by the name of Tony Robbins, that had 4 fathers, didn't have what to eat, lived in poverty, had a mother, a drug addict, and had nothing going for him, and his life turned around because he turned it around and he interpreted things in a very positive way. It boils down to interpretation, and the reason why you're upset at me now, and the reason why you're angry, and the reason why you disagree with me, because sadly most of your parents and your role models and your teachers taught this to you. I'll give you a simple example where parents really go wrong, not their fault, because their parents told them that. It's where a child acts like a child, and a parent comes to the child and says, "You are making me angry. You are making me upset." No one can make you angry. No one can make you upset. So you're teaching the child that you have no control. You're teaching the child that things happen to you. You're teaching the child that things are negative, things are bad, and just like you can make me as an adult upset, the world will make you upset, and people will screw you over, and people will be terrible with you, and people will fire you, and things will go wrong. We were trained to think that everything is for the bad. Ironically, most people that talk to me are officially religious. Regardless of what religion they follow, they're religious. And one of the things that the common religions follow is that there's a master plan. There is a big picture. I always tell people, when I fall on the floor, when I fall on the ground, which just happened to me a few days ago, biking in the dark, and there was like soft earth, and I went flying over with the bike straight head first into the mud. The first thing that happens to me when I fall down, after I get over the shock, give me a second or two, I say, "Lord, is there any money around here? Is there anything you want me to look for here? Because I don't know what's around and I don't know where to look. Is this a hint?" And I actually sit around and look around and try to figure out, what is the divine providence in this pain, in this shock, in this falling? I don't want anything to go wrong for anyone. But when things happen, you come late, your car got scratched, someone didn't show up, and the list goes on and on. You could validate your pain, but then ask the question, what good could come out of this? Is there something positive? And there's one thing to so many people that came crying to me how they lost their job. And time and again, I smiled, and they thought I was crazy. And I told them, the Lord loves you. He wants you to work less hours and make more money. You didn't do it yourself. He did it for you. So it's not even something negative. It's something so beautiful and something positive, that someone is helping you out. Someone is challenging you to climb that beautiful mountain. I hope we don't have any challenges, but when something is apparent and it looks like a challenge, let's use the most mighty tool in our body, which is our beautiful brain, and try to interpret it in the most beautiful way. Not to be in denial, not to put our head in the sand, and not to deny our feelings that we're scared. We can be scared, we can be frightened, we can be worried, we can cry. We could even have a few ounces of anxiety. That's all for the emotional business. That's for their emotions, and it's fine to feel that way. but our head must stay above water, and to think, what is the positive, what seems to me negative? And if you're in a higher level, you're going to go, okay, thank you for doing this to me. What's next? I'm going to look for something greater, for something better, for something good to happen. Have yourself a wonderful and delightful day, and interpret your challenges in the most positive way. For then there might not even be challenges in the first place.